Isn't it awful, Kathleen?
It is indeed, ma'am. It's like a banshee.
I don't mind it tonight. Last night it drove me crazy. I lay awake worrying and I couldn't stand it anymore.
Bad cess to it. I was scared out of my wits riding back from town. I thought that ugly monkey Smith would drive into a ditch or wrap around a tree. You couldn't see your hand in front of you. I'm glad you had me sit in the back with you, ma'am. If I'd been in front with that monkey, he can't keep his dirty hands to himself. Give him half a chance and he's pinching me on the leg or you know where. Asking your pardon, ma'am, but it's true.
It wasn't the fog I minded, Kathleen. I really love fog.
They say it's good for your complexion.
It hides you from the world and the world from you. You feel that everything has changed and nothing is what it seemed to be. No one can find or touch you anymore.
I wouldn't care so much if Smith was a fine, handsome man like some chauffeurs I've seen. I mean, it was all in fun, for I'm a decent girl, but a shriveled runt like Smith, I've told him, you must think I'm hard up or I notice a monkey like you. I warned him. One day I'll give a clout that'll knock him into next week, and so I will.
It's the foghorn I hate. I won't let you alone. It keeps reminding me of you and warning you and calling you back. But it can't tonight. It's just an ugly sound. It doesn't remind me of anything. Except perhaps Mr. Tyrone snores. I've always had such a fun teasing about him. He snored ever since I can remember, especially when he's had too much to drink, and yet he's like a child. He hates to admit it. Well, I suppose I snore at times too, and I don't like to admit it, so I have no right to make fun of him. Have I?
Ah, sure. Everybody healthy snores. It's a sign of sanity, they say. What time is it, ma'am? I have to go back to the kitchen. The dame's in the Bridget's rheumatism, and she's raging devil. She'll bite my head off.
No, don't go, Kathleen. I don't want to be alone yet.
You won't be for long. The master and the boys will be home soon.
I doubt they'll come back for dinner. They have a good excuse to remain in the broom so they feel at home. Don't worry about Bridget. I'll tell her to keep you with me, and I can take a big drink of whiskey to her when you go. She won't mind then.
No, ma'am. That's one thing can make her cheerful. She loves her drop.
Have another drink yourself if you wish, Kathleen.
I don't know if I'd better, ma'am. I can feel what I've had already. Well, maybe one more won't harm. Here's your good health, ma'am.
I really did have good health once, Kathleen, but that was long ago.
The master's sure to notice what's gone from the bottle. He has an eye hog for that.
We'll play Jamie's trick on him. Just measure a few drinks of water and pour them in.
God save me, it'll be half water. He'll know by the taste.
No, by the time he comes home, he'll be too drunk to tell the difference. He has such a good excuse, he believes, to drown his sorrows.
Well, it's a good man's family. I wouldn't give him trying for a tree toller. They've got no high spirits. Good excuse? You mean Master Edmund, ma'am? I can tell the master is worried about him.
Don't be silly, Kathleen. Why should he be? A touch of gripe is nothing, and Mr. Tyrone is never worried about anything except money and property, and the fear that he'll end his days in poverty. I mean, deeply worried, because he cannot really understand anything else. My husband is a very peculiar man.
Well, he's a fine, handsome, kind gentleman. Just the same, ma'am. Never mind his weakness.
Oh, I don't mind. I've loved him dearly for 36 years. That proves I know he's lovable at heart and can't help being what he is, doesn't it?
That's right, ma'am. Love him dearly, for any fool can see he worships the ground you walk on. Speaking of acting, ma'am, how is it you never went on the stage?
What an absurd notion in your head. I was brought up in a respectable home and educated in the best convent in the Middle West. Before I met Mr. Tyrone, I hardly knew there was such a thing as the theater. I was a very pious girl. I even dreamed of becoming a nun. I've never had the slightest desire to be an actress.
Well, I can't surely imagine you a holy nun. Ma'am, sure, you've never darkened the door of a church. God forgive you.
I've never felt at home in the theater. Even though Mr. Tyrone has made me go with him on all of his tours, I've had little to do with the people in his company or anyone on the stage. Not that I have anything against them. They've always been kind to me, and I to them. But I never felt at home with them. Their life is not my life, and it has always stood between me and... But let's not talk about old things that couldn't be helped. How thick the fog is. I can't see the road. All the people in the world pass by and I would never know. I wish it was always that way. It's getting dark already. It will soon be night, thank goodness. It was kind of you to keep me company this afternoon, Kathleen. I would have been lonely driving uptown alone.
Sure, I wouldn't rather ride in a fine automobile than stay here and listen to Bridget's lies about her relations. It was like a vacation, ma'am. That was only one thing I didn't like.
What was that, Kathleen?
The way the man in the drugstore acted when I took the prescription for you. The impudence of him!
What are you talking about? What drugstore? What prescription? Oh, of course I forgot. The medicine for the rheumatism in my hands. What did the man say? Not that it matters, as long as he filled the prescription.
It mattered to me then. I'm not used to being treated like a thief. He gave me a long look and said insultingly, "Where did you get a hold of this?" And I says, "It's none of your damn business. But if you must know, it's for the lady I work for, Mrs. Tyrone, who's sitting out in the automobile." That shut him up real quick. He gave a look out to you and said, "Oh," and went to get my medicine.
Yes, he knows me. It's a special kind of medicine. I have to take it because there is no other that can stop the pain. All the pain, I mean, in my hands. Poor hands. You'd never believe it, but they were once my good points, along with my hair and eyes. I had a fine figure, too. They were musicians' hands. I loved the piano. I worked so hard at music in my convent. If you can call it work when you do something you love. Mother Elizabeth and my music teacher both said I had more talent than any student they remembered. My father paid for special lessons. He spoiled me. He would do anything I asked. He would have sent me to Europe to study after I graduated from the convent. I might have gone if I had fallen in love with Mr. Tyrone. Or I might have become a nun. I had two dreams. To be a nun, that was the more beautiful one. And to become a concert pianist, that was the other. I haven't touched the piano in so many years. I couldn't play with such crippled fingers even if I wanted to. For a time after my marriage, I tried to keep up my music, but it was hopeless. One-night stands, cheap hotels, dirty trains, leaving children, and never having a home. See, Kathleen, how ugly they are? So maimed and crippled. You would think they'd have been through some horrible accident. So they have, come to think of it. I won't look at them. They're worse than the foghorn for reminding me. But even they can't touch me now. They're far away. I see them, but the pain is gone.
You've taken some of the medicine? It made you act funny, ma'am. If I didn't know better, I'd think you'd drop taking.
It kills the pain. You go back until at least beyond its reach, only past when you were happy is real. If you think Mr. Tyrone is handsome now, Kathleen, you should have seen him when I first met him. He had the reputation of being one of the best-looking men in the country. The girls in the convent who had seen him act or seen his photographs used to rave about him. He was such a matinee idol then, you know? Women used to wait at the stage door just to see him come out. You can imagine how excited I was. My father wrote me, he and James Tyrone had become friends, and that I was to meet him when I came home for Easter vacation. I showed the letter to all the girls and how envious they were. My father took me to see him act first. It was a play about the French Revolution, and he played a nobleman. I couldn't take my eyes off him. I wept when he was thrown into prison, and I was so mad at myself because I was afraid my eyes and nose would be red. My father said we'd go backstage to his dressing room right after the play, and so we did. I was so bashful. All I could do was stammer and blush like a little fool. He didn't seem to think I was a fool. I know he liked me the first moment we were introduced. I guess my eyes and nose couldn't have been red after all. I was really very pretty then, Kathleen. And he was handsomer than my wildest dream, in his makeup and his nobleman's costume that was so becoming of him. He was different from all ordinary men, someone from another world. At the same time, he was simple and kind and unassuming, not a bit stuck up or vain. I fell in love right then. So did he told me afterwards. I forgot all about becoming a nun or a concert pianist. All I wanted to do was be his wife. 36 years ago, but I can see it as clearly as if it were tonight. We've loved each other ever since, and in all those 36 years, there's never been a breath of scandal about him. I mean, with any other woman. Never since he met me. That has made me very happy, Kathleen. It has made me forgive so many other things.
He's a fine gentleman, and you're a lucky woman. Can I take the drink to Bridget, ma'am? It must be near dinner time, and I have to be in the kitchen helping her. If she don't get something to quit her temper, she'll be after me with the cleaver.
Yes. You can go back now. I don't need you.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. You won't be alone now. The master and the boys?
No, they won't come. Tell Bridget I won't wait. You can serve dinner promptly 6:30. I'm not hungry, but I'll still be at the table and we'll get it over with.
You ought to eat something, ma'am. It's queer medicine if it takes away your appetite.
What medicine? I don't know what you mean. You better take the drink to Bridget.
Yes, ma'am.